looks like we're at the bottom of the hour, just passed. So let's get this call underway. Welcome everybody to Millionaires in Training. And as always, a special and warm welcome to all of our guests online tonight. This is a leadership call that we do each and every Monday where we focus in on the philosophies, the disciplines, the habits, and yes, the skill sets that are required to reach higher levels of prosperity in network distribution and, of course, the FC International. And if you're new on the line tonight, I would like to welcome you. You may have some questions regarding product and other aspects of our business and our company. We do a product-centered call each and every Wednesday, and you'll certainly get all the information you require about the Siege International products, the foundation of our business. But for many who are doing Siege as a business and who are looking to reach full-time incomes and or even financial independence, obviously there are some additional skills and philosophies, disciplines that are required, and that's what we focus in on. Tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different and really get down to the fundamentals of building a successful goal-based business that gives us that residual income. And we've got one of our top trainers and business leaders here at Siege International who is joining me this evening. That is Black Diamond. My apologies. Once again, welcome. We're going to do something a little different this evening and focus in on the fundamental skill that make this business very simple, and that is the art of the invitation. Most of the work in network marketing is actually done by plugging into the system and plugging into the tools that we have, the presentations and the validation, the follow-up, the three-way calls, the conference calls, etc. But ultimately, what's required in getting somebody to take a look is an effective icebreaker, an effective invitation, inviting people to come and take a look. We're not in the convincing business, we're not into selling people, we're asking people to explore the possibilities. Come and take a look. And in taking a look, a person will join us for a presentation, they'll listen to a CD, view a DVD, an online presentation, possibly a live event. The beauty of this is that it's actually a very simple thing when you think about it, that if the only real skill set that we require is an effective invitation, saying the right thing so that the person will say yes every time or most of the time in terms of taking a look, then most of our work is done because the system will carry 80% of the heavy load in terms of the presentation. And Mike, always a pleasure to work with you. It was great seeing you down in Atlanta and working with you and your team and all the leaders. That was a great event, as always. And obviously, everybody was quite effective in their own invitations and building for that event, as we must have at least 50% of the 350 plus people there that were guests, people looking at Siege as a business for the first time. And that is really all that was required for most of the people, as we had pretty well almost everybody, if not everybody, join us at that event. They came on board. So, Mike, maybe you can share just a couple of your thoughts in terms of the process, and as you learn the business, where does the invitation fit in, and what are maybe a couple of the effective icebreakers or one-liners that you might use in the process of the invitation?
Well, appreciate that, David. Of course, it's a privilege to be able to be on this call with you tonight, and good to see you this past weekend as well, as you had a chance to invade my home, which was fun too. And so, of course, the invitation is so important. If we don't invite people to take a look at the business, then they won't take a look. But it's also one of the things that serves as a block for most people, but because naturally, as humans, when we don't know much about something, as you don't know much about Zeta when you first get started, you're naturally kind of fearful because you don't know what you don't know, and some of the things you do know, you don't know them well, and so you're apprehensive about sharing the opportunity or inviting people to simply take a look at the opportunity. And so the invitation is very, very important. A couple things real quickly before I talk a little bit about the invitation itself. Number one, everybody is afraid. Everybody has some type of fear when they're inviting people to take a look or about to invite someone to take a look at the information about Zeta. But here's what I tell you. Do it anyway. There's a quote that I remember reading when I first got started in this profession. That quote was, do the thing that you fear, and the death of fear is certain. And let everybody know as well, I've been involved in this profession for 13 years now, and there are still people that I call on my chicken list, people that I'm somewhat afraid to talk to initially, but I pick up the phone and I do it anyway. Another thing to remember is when we're talking to people, all they can say is yes or no. That's all they can say. Nothing bad is going to happen if they say no. Something great could happen if they say yes. And so just understand that that's the only two outcomes that are possible. So go ahead and do it anyway. There's nothing to fear. And just make sure that invitation is something that's inviting. We know the root of the word invitation is to invite. And we think about an invite, or we're sending an invite, it's always something that looks good. If we receive it in the mail, if we're inviting someone verbally, it's always done tastefully, and it's always done to appeal to their interest, so that person gets excited about what we're inviting them to. And that's the same thing we want to remember when we're inviting people to take a look at a tool, inviting people to a presentation about Zeta. We want to make sure that that invitation looks good and sounds good. The best way to do that is by using the tool. And then, of course, before a tool is even interjected, we have to make sure that we simply pique their interest. And there's so many ways to pique people's interest. Me personally, I don't like rejection at all. I don't like being told no. Not meaning, no, you're not ready to do the business yet. I mean, no, I don't want to be told no, I don't want to take a look. So everything that I say and do is designed for that invitation or for me to pique their interest, is designed for them to say yes or for it to look good so they won't tell me no. And there's several different scenarios. A very, very simple one is, do you keep your options open to earning additional income? That's a very simple introduction or invitation. If we want to get a little more professional with it, if you know your individual prospect, you know their background, you know their desires, you know their family, you know some of their needs, you know more about that prospect, then you can always tailor your invitation to something that they can't say no to by appealing to their emotion and not their logic. This business, people move on emotion. They don't move on logic. People make decisions based on how something makes them feel. For instance, there are individuals who choose to smoke cigarettes. Of course, we know logic tells you by watching the commercials on television with individuals that have holes in their throat, cancer and things of that nature, that smoking cigarettes, and it's actually written on the package, that smoking cigarettes will kill you. That's logic. But individuals smoke cigarettes because of how it makes them feel. The same thing with individuals who choose to involve in other recreational type things that aren't good for them. They don't do it because they know it's not good for them. They do it, though, because of how it makes them feel. And so if we can appeal to people's emotions when we're inviting them to take a look at the business, then you have a better opportunity to get your information in front of that prospect. I'll give you one example. Let's take someone who's a single parent. Most single parents, 99.9% of them, their main concern is their children and what type of life they're giving their children now and what type of life you're setting their children up to have. And so one easy invitation, if you know someone who's a single parent, you can pique their interest, of course, by getting to know them first a little bit. If you already know them, you know a little bit about them. You can simply ask them a question or simply make a statement. I work with some single parents, and some of the main things they told me was they were excited about taking a look at some information because of what it could possibly do to their children now and their children in the future. So the main things we talk about is paying for their education, being to have more free time to be able to spend with their children. If you tell a single parent that, now you will appeal to their emotions. See, if you walk up to a single parent and you want to start explaining moringa and bija and things of that nature, that's all logical facts. But if you appeal to their emotions, something that's very, very important to them, now they're going to say, well, what is the information? 99.9% of single parents are interested in their children now and their children's future. So you can talk about something and you can appeal to their emotions and simply get the information in front of them. Maybe you want to bring your spouse home from work. Whatever the scenario is, appeal to the emotions of people in your invitation, and your invitation will be 100% more effective than just approaching people as an amateur, asking them questions that you already know the answer to. Like, have you ever heard of Zika? You know the answer is no. We know the answer is no. Have you heard of moringa? I had never heard before I got involved in Zika, and so chances are the prospect never heard of it either. And so now you got your first no. You've already started down a path of invitation that doesn't look too good. And so we appeal to their emotions, appeal to things that people like, appeal to things that tickle their ears, and touches their heart, and you're more likely, or your invitation is more likely to be effective. It's just a few things, David, as we get started.
So, a lot of times, if we're building a little bit of rapport, I remember when I first started this business, I was so enthusiastic. I wanted to share everything that I had experienced and that I was feeling in the first exposure, in the first presentation, in my first meeting with people that I wanted to make contact with. Really, the concept is to build a little rapport, find out where the need is, if possible, find out what's lacking, or find out where a person's at, and then we can tailor that initial exposure to them. Now, there's a lot of different types of people when we create our list. We create our contact base, or we pull it from either our phone or our Outlook, or wherever we have our center of influence. We've got really several types of people, the two main categories. Those that may be a little bit more product-centered because they have an interest in weight loss or nutrition, etc. And those that are open to making money or want to build a business or residual income, time freedom. Do you use different icebreakers or different invitations for different people, or do you have mainly one or two invitations that you use across the board?
Many of them, because everybody's different. That's why, personally, I've never been someone that's big on scripts because everybody is so different. As you mentioned, there are people who just want to hear about the product. One of the main things to developing a good invitation is to listen. If you listen to people and really get to know people, then they'll tell you exactly what you need to say to make your invitation effective. And so I always listen to the prospect. If someone immediately starts talking about weight loss, or they need to lose weight, or they have some kind of health issue, or whatever that they got product to the system with, then of course my invitation consists of just that, because that's what they want to hear about right now. So that's what I know they're talking about at that moment, and that's going to be most effective. If someone is earning a great income but they have zero time to spend the income. Then I tailor my presentation to talking about individuals in our business, business owners have a phenomenal life, a phenomenal income already, but they're looking for time freedom. And so everybody is different that we run into. There are people that are just interested in the product, and of course I tailor my invitation to what I hear them talking about. There are people interested in business, then of course I can tailor my invitation to what they're talking about as well.
And so when we talk about, from a business standpoint, we're not looking to sell anybody or close anybody or get a decision on first exposure. I think a lot of times people are looking to get a result the very first time they call someone, and of course people are disappointed when they get rejected. And I remember when I first started the business, I was so hungry to sponsor someone to get my first recruit that I didn't really follow a process. They say that sponsoring or recruiting is a process, not an event. And the initial part of the process, of course, is the invitation. There are a number of icebreakers that I use where there's only one answer possible, and that's yes. And that's what we want. We want everybody to say yes to taking a look. And I like that. I often use, are you willing or are you open to exploring the possibilities? Are you willing to keep your options open for 45 minutes? These types of invitations. Give me a couple of examples, Mike, of what you might say to someone that you are looking to introduce from a business standpoint. What would you invite them to take a look at?
Well, there's a couple different things. One thing I'll say as well is everybody doesn't qualify to take a look at the invitation. For instance, if I'm talking to someone, I'm meeting someone, and we struck up a conversation, and for whatever reason I don't like that person, meaning there's something that they're giving off that I know won't translate well to this business, then I don't tell them about the business. Sometimes we get into the habit of wanting everybody to get involved in this business, and just quite honestly, network marketing is not for everyone. So I'm always listening for those things as well, so I can stop the whole process if that person is not a good fit. But if I'm meeting someone and that person, I sense that they crave information, then of course the Wellness and Success newsletter that we have is very nicely done. I have some of those on hand with me all the time, and so I'll give them that so they can read all about Moringa. They can read all about the company. They can read all about the product. They can read, because I'm sensing that person is craving information. If I meet someone and some of the things we're talking about as we're getting to know each other is cars and lifestyle and things of that nature, then I'll show them David Moses' video where he's driving a Ferrari. I'll show them my video, some of the lifestyle pictures and some of the other lifestyle videos that DJ has put together that best fits that prospect. If there's someone that's a family person, Robbie Davis, it's all types of videos that we have now that we can use to basically tell the story or get someone to see how Visa or what Visa is all about through other successful people. So again, it just depends on the prospect, it depends on what I've heard. But again, the most important thing to remember is you have got to listen to what they're saying. Whatever they're saying, listen to it. If you listen well, it'll tell you where you need to go. Because if someone is talking about earning 6 figures a month and driving Ferrari, then the Wellness and Success newsletter is not going to really excite them to take a further look at these, because it's all facts and logic. They want to know about how they can get, or they want to see someone who has what they desire. I'll give you one quick example of that. Luke Curry, who's a black diamond in Visa now. Luke came to his first event, was not excited about it. We were out in Las Vegas, and Luke had heard about my personal story. And Luke overheard a conversation. He had not yet even met me yet, but he heard a conversation where I was talking about Ferraris and Lamborghinis and things of that nature. Well, everybody else had been talking to Luke about Moringa and antioxidants and all that stuff. Well, when Luke heard me talking about that, he said, "Are you Mike Sims?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, you're talking my language now. That's the type of stuff I'm interested in. And if this business can help me get those things, then I got to pay close attention and I'm ready to go." So you have to listen to your prospect, and they'll tell you what they're interested in, and then of course that tells you what food to put in front of that person.
So there are different tools. Obviously, there's a lot of the lifestyle. There's CDs, there's DVDs, there's the Wellness and Success newspaper. Once we piqued their interest, so they had a look at a tool, there was probably a series of exposures that you would put somebody through. Generally speaking, my experience has been is that it takes somewhere between 3 to 5 exposures before a person is ready to make a decision, before a person has enough information or a person has captured the vision or the possibilities of what this business can do for them and or the products, and then they're ready to make that choice. At what point do you do validation? In other words, get somebody else on a three-way call to give them sort of a live exposures to what they've personally experienced?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I've had a process where their excitement level was so high, I put them on a three-way call just to introduce them to someone who can tell their story and introduce the truth. And then we take a look at it. There's somebody on the monitoring line that's got some background noise. You can just beat yourself out. Okay, here we go. Go ahead. So, in the beginning, sometimes there are people who I meet, and they have certain desires and certain things that excite them. And so if I have someone available right there at that moment, I'll put them on a three-way call just to introduce them to someone that'll get them excited about looking at a tool. Of course, we never use a three-way for someone else to get on the phone and explain everything there is to know about Zeta. That's not what a three-way call is designed to do. But of course, as soon as someone is taking a look at the information, actually, let me back up real quick. One of the things I hear sometimes in the field or in training is individuals talk about having issues getting people on a three-way call. And remember, in this business, you will always have issues with things that people don't expect to happen. And so I always tell my prospects that they will be put on a call with someone as soon as they look at the information. So for instance, if David is my prospect, David, I've got this video I want you to take a look at. It's a 7-minute presentation. It'll tell you everything that you need to know about Zeta. And as soon as you finish taking a look at that video, I want to connect you with someone who can answer your questions and also share with you their vision and some more of the big picture of what Zeta International is all about. Very, very quickly, that's all I say. I'll give you another example. Stacy, as soon as you get finished reading this Wellness and Success newsletter, I want to put you on the phone with one of the individuals that's pictured in that newspaper that can answer any questions that you might have and also expand your vision on what Zeta International is all about. So I let my prospect know up front that I intend to connect them to someone who can answer their questions as soon as they finish watching the material, reading the material, or attending the presentation, whatever it may be. So I set that expectation up front, and then of course I use that call as further validation, and also it's also a part of teaching them what they'll be doing once they get started in the business as well.
So bottom line is, we're not trying to sell anybody, we're not trying to convince anybody, we're basically being a tour guide and asking someone to explore the possibilities. We're asking them to take a look. We're not asking them to do anything that could, cause any rejection or someone to say no or they're not open. And then once they start the process of going through that funnel, through that exposure process, then the presentation itself, the material itself, the stories of success will in fact open up their mind and their own personal vision as to what's possible. But it also sets up the duplication, right? I mean, one of the things it's not even so much of the initial presentation as the fact that the initial exposure is actually teaching a person what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be doing it when they introduce somebody. So if a person is introduced in a way that they can see themselves introducing another person, not only will we have an easier time sponsoring and bringing somebody on board, but we will in fact start the process of teaching somebody the process of duplicating and building the business in that process, correct?
Absolutely. And, remember, everything we're doing to the process, they're paying attention to it, because in their mind, they're asking themselves two questions. Actually three questions. Can I do this? Do I have time to do this? And do I want to do this for the people that I love and care about? Those three questions. Can I do this? Do I have time to do this? And do I want to do this for the people that I love and care about? And so if your invitation is not appealing, your invitation is to focus, prodding, convincing, or surging, then your invitation won't be effective, and you won't get the desired result. So make sure that your invitation is something that's inviting. Your invitation is something that they're looking forward to seeing information. And if your invitation is something that's always based upon their needs and what they're looking for, and not our desires, into processes too.
Wonderful. It's amazing how quick time flies when you are going through this type of training. We've already done a half an hour, and there's so much information. But much of this information and the process of doing the business is learned as we're working with our sponsor and our upline to make contact with some of the key people on our list or in our center of influence. And I guess a lot of these Super Saturdays, Gold Rush events, and trainings are where people can gain that knowledge by meeting other people, including, of course, the up-and-coming convention, where we'll be doing some specific workshops on some of these aspects. Anything you want to add, Mike, before we close?
Absolutely. One of the keys to being successful in this business is making sure that you don't miss anything. There's so many events that will be happening all across the country this summer. I will encourage everybody to attend these events, attend these trainings, and make sure that you don't attend them by yourself, but you have as many people in your organization there as well, which will save you a lot of time, heartache, and headache, having to try to retrain individuals when you can have some of the best and all the network marketing training your organization for you, so everybody is growing together. And of course, all the things we do this summer are going to lead to what's going to happen in Utah in the fall. And if anybody takes off this summer, anybody is lax this summer, if anybody doesn't have a sense of urgency this summer, the first thing is you're not going to be able to take advantage of some of the huge promotions that the company has in place this summer. And then, of course, that lack of activity or lack of urgency is going to bleed over into the fall. And then in the fall is one of the hardest times in this profession, in this industry. And so don't let that happen to you. Just don't have a sense of urgency right now. It's all simple about personal recruiting. And of course, that starts with the proper invitation. be on this call with you tonight. Had fun this past weekend, and looking forward to success stories that we will continue to create here inside of Legal International.
Thank you very much, Mike. Always a pleasure, sir. And if you're new on the line, I know this was just a light overview on the process of developing residual income, but once you learn a few simple invitations, the presentations and the system that we have, and communicating the information will do most of the work for you. Our job is simply to lead people to take a look. The information is strong enough to pull people in and help them match what we have with their personal goals, their dreams, their aspirations. So if you're new on the line tonight, get back to the person who invited you and get the rest of the information that you require, and we look forward to helping you achieve whatever your big goals and aspirations are. Thanks very much, Mike. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome week, and there will be a presentation tomorrow night. In fact, the corporate power hour call tomorrow evening. There'll be upwards of 1,500, maybe as much as 2,000 people on tomorrow night's call, and you'll get the bigger global vision of ZJ International. So welcome, everybody. Have a great evening. Lines are open.